mate.
Cheers,
Okay. Yeah, mate. Bye-bye.
Okay. Right. I see Lee's here, so we might as well just carry on rewardless, shall we? Okay. Rewardless? Canterbury Cricket Trust.
Thank you, Phil and councillors. Look, I haven't got a presentation. I've just made my submission previously in writing. And I'd just like to emphasise the importance, I think, to our city of the council funding events. And I'm from a cricket perspective, but I think I'm also from a sport and recreation perspective and a cultural perspective. And I think it's absolutely vital that our city is promoted with events not only for its citizens, but to the outside world. We saw what the Australian Test did to viewers all around the cricketing world. That brought in over $1 million, we understand, to the economy. The English Test that we've been awarded this year in November will bring in excess of $4 million to the economy. Now, to get that test, we had to bid with 6 other venues throughout the country and to get 3 events. Cricket itself, from its own funds, have had to underwrite $80,000 to be competitive in that bid. So we were told when the bids were being promulgated that there were 2 things that New Zealand Cricket were looking at. One was the quality of the venue in terms of turf and pitch, and Hagley is number 1 in that area, and it's a credit to the council's ground staff and the Hagley Park staff that has been achieved. It is a magnificent facility, and it's regarded all over the world as one of the best pitches and turf to play on. The other important aspect was the commercial aspect, and we know that cricket is expensive at Hagley because the infrastructure needs to be provided and brought in a lot of respects. And council staff through David Bailey and Andrew are working brilliantly to try and lessen that cost to cricket so that we are more competitive in terms of that commercial arm. But we need content. We've got to have content at Hagley for us to be able to continue to fund the game and to make the facility sustainable. If we don't get events, we won't have that content. Obviously, we won't have memberships at Hagley. We won't have the funds. Now, as you know, the cost of Hagley Oval was $22 million. A third of that, $7.5 million, was donations from private individuals, including being able to refinance the council loan earlier this year and fully pay off rata. But we must have those events. I know the option in the plan is for a 0.42, I think, % rise in rates to be able to fund these events. I think it's got to be done. If you look at what you've said in your own outlook and perspective for the city, you want to create a vibrant city. You want to create a city that people want to come to and visit and enjoy. There's $650 million return, I think it is, over the next 10 years for the city from events. We must invest in those. I just encourage you to look at that from a positive perspective. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Andre, please.
Thank you. Are you just able to touch on the economics of how lucrative tests are and the fact that you need multiple visit nights, people like the Barmy Army, who it brings to the city, and what kind of money?
And Christchurch NZ, more than us, are all over this, but I think the figures for the Australian Test in early March was something over $1 million, and I think the estimate for the England game between the 28th of November and the 3rd of December in Christchurch is something like $4 million. We're already getting demands from the Barmy Army and for English tourists to come here for that game. It's the first of 3 games that will be played in November and December. A lot of the people that came out, a lot of the tourists that came out for the Australian games want to come back. They had such a great experience. So, it's important to the city. And of course, it's important to cricket. If we're able to have events and we can leverage off that, and we do it through selling seats in the pavilion, so that's our limited aspect of funding or avenue of funding, we can put money back into cricket, and it means kids playing the game. We can't afford to take money from that fund to fund or underwrite events. It's just going to kill the game at grassroots level.
Thank you. Yanni, please.
Yeah, thank you for your submission. Thank you for the work that you've been doing, and are obviously going to do. In paragraph 9, you say there are multiple examples of the city pursuing expenditure where its priorities are concerning. These need to be critiqued and reconsidered in many aspects. You also talk about the sports, enabling the growth and promotion of sports, but I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the money that we're investing in the sports fields to support cricket, which is about 85 million. So just wondered if you're aware of that, if you've got any comments on that.
Yes, I am, Yanni. And look, that's acknowledged, and I think I said earlier in my submission, I know the work that's going in to maintaining Hagley as an absolute top-class ground, and that counts as the criteria, one of the two criterias. But, we've had to fund the infrastructure. Cricket has had to fund the infrastructure. We left Lancaster Park, equal sharing partners with rugby, and we came out with no capital. We accept and have got forward on the basis that we've had to seek help from elsewhere to get these facilities for Christchurch. Pavilion, Lights, Women's Cricket World Cup, and the Hagley Sports Centre for youth and development of cricket. So, we acknowledge what's going on with the grounds and things, but, it is a partnership and we cannot afford to put our money, cricket money, into events.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I see you're back again shortly.
I am, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll probably get the rest of the questions to you then. Thank you very much for coming in. Felicity, please.